advice would you give him regarding the NFL draft and his decision?
Well, first, he's really good, and I think continuing on this kind of trajectory too. There's still a lot of room for development, which is exciting because he's really a good performer as it is. As far as advice for the NFL, I think that's such a personal decision. There's so much more than just the facts of is he ready, isn't he ready, all that stuff. And what we try to do is get with the family and discuss it in total transparency. What I've always done with those guys is, if it was my son, what would I recommend him do? And I give him that advice. And if I go to a doctor and my son has to have an operation, I'm going to say, what would you do if it was your son? And I try to live by that when it comes to those decisions, and that's served me well.
What would be he would be a first-round draft choice if he came out. What would be the benefits in your mind for him coming back?
Well, it all depends what he wants. You know, the benefits is college football is different than pro football, and I think I'm uniquely qualified to give him advice on that. It all comes down to what he desires, and we're going to figure that out here when all this football is over.
Greg, if everybody knows the stakes of the game, why does bulletin board material work?
Oh, I don't know if it does, first of all, right? But it's certainly good reading, and look, everybody's human, so something that just gets your competitive juices flowing a little bit more, who knows? Maybe, I don't think it has anything to do with game day, but maybe on the Wednesday practice, you're going to practice just a little harder, because that ticked you off as a player. I don't know, and then maybe that effect on Saturday is what's felt. But it's game day, you're right. I mean, when the lights are on and the band's playing, I don't think you need any extra motivation.
What leaps out about Deshaun on tape?
Really just how multi-talented he is. It's not just a passer and it's not just a runner. It is all the above. He seems has a very good understanding of their offense. And, it's frustrating because some of the times when you watch him, he should, what they're coaching. He should give it and he doesn't. Or he should keep it and he doesn't. So that means he understands not only the concept of their offense, but the flow of the game. We're winning by 25 points. I don't need to take a hit by taking the ball. I'm going to give it to the running back. He'll gain 3-4 yards anyway. That to me is a complete football player, whereas a guy who doesn't understand the big picture, he's going to just, everything's, by rote memory. They told me to do this, I do this. So you're talking about an experienced, really athletic quarterback who challenge.
How much of your prep is essentially a bit of a guess in that there's been a period of lag time between the regular season finale, this game? Watson obviously ran a lot more last year than he ran this year, but if you're going to do it, you're kind of running out of time to do it and add that weapon. So just the guessing factor of preparing for them and what they maybe can do but haven't done as much as they do.
Well, it's always an issue in bowl games, right? Because there is that huge amount of time in between. And we just talked about it this morning in our defensive staff meeting. What do you think? What will be the things that they change? At the end of the day, I think in big games, he's a big game player, Deshaun, and in big games he carries the football. I mean, that is seen. In the red zone, he carries the football. So when the stakes are high, get a touchdown, you're able to score, or it's a big game, he's going to carry the ball. Got to be careful though. You do too much to stop that, he can hurt you with his arm. And that is the challenge of Clemson's offense, is they're so talented at so many positions that it keeps you honest. And the fact that they play 11-on-11 football where the quarterback does run the ball keeps you really honest. So that's why it is such a challenge.
Is it at all a help for you that you just dealt with a team that has an accomplished tight end playing another team that has one?
It's such a different style of offense that I don't know if it's that much of an advantage. The fact that we have an awareness that this is a high-level tight end, I think, we probably played we're going to play the best two tight ends in college football back-to-back. So if that's an advantage, then yes. But it's such different styles of offense that I'm not sure.
Coach, do you think that a guy like Wayne Gallman, who's had a pretty successful career at Clemson, gets overlooked by the other weapons on that offense?
Probably. Yeah, I mean, that's just one of the things when you're on such a talented offense. Not overlooked by us, I can tell you that. I mean, we know what he's capable of, and it's one of those deals. You better take care of every phase, or you're going to have a problem at the one that you didn't really focus on. So that's been our challenge as a coaching staff. is to prepare our guys for every different phase of their offense.
How do you handle a stable of wide receivers like they have, especially a guy that's so big like Mike Williams?
Well, that's one of the big challenges, and on top of that is you have a guy that can get him the football anywhere on the field, and he can get it when he's moving, he can get it when he's stationary in the pocket. So it's a huge challenge. You know, probably the best group, not probably, the best group of receivers as a unit that we've played. And certainly Mike's an elite level guy, but I think the guys that surround him are not real far back, you know, and that's what makes it a challenge. If you had one great receiver, you can do certain things to take him out of the game or limit his chances to touch the ball. But when you do that, you leave yourself exposed in other places, and you can't against this offense because the other guys will beat you there. So you got to play more balanced up and hope that you can, you know, you're not going to win every battle, but hope you win your share.
Greg, what stands out to you about the way Urban approaches the postseason? He's been so successful. What do you think goes into that?
Well, he certainly has a strong set of beliefs on how to approach the postseason. Very similar to the way that I had done it as a head coach, so it's very comfortable for me. There's no guesswork involved. You know, you get to the point in your career where you've done it, it's been successful, and I think everybody in the organization gains confidence from that, knowing that the leader knows exactly what he wants to do in these next 26, 30 days, whatever it is. There's different phases in bowl preparation. It can't be just getting ready for the game the whole time. Otherwise, you'll end up, I don't know, burned out is the word, but bored, right? So we basically have 3 different phases in our preparation, and that's worked very well.
I know 2 years ago, Ohio State was tackling in practice up until the day before the national championship game. Urban's talked about that. Is that still the same deal? You guys like going live right up until the day before the game?
Pick your spots where we do it, but yes, yeah. As long as you have shoulder pads on, there's certain things that we're going to do live. You know, when you look at bowl games, it's much like first and second games of the season, really first games, because if you're not careful, what in first games, what do you look at? Special teams aren't real good, and tackling. Those are the 2 things that really jump out. Bowl games are the same. So if you tackle in your preparation, I think you can nullify that one bad thing that can happen. And then if you really work some special teams at a high rate of speed, I'm not saying live special teams, that's too dangerous, but you really work them at a high rate of speed and you frequently do them, then you can kind of get that out of the way as well. Those are the 2 areas that I think long layoffs affect the most.
I want to ask you about Marshawn Lattimore. He came into this season, he redshirted a 1 year, barely played last year. Now he's a 3rd-year sophomore. He's had a breakout year. People are saying he's going to be a first-round pick if he leaves. What's enabled him to make that kind of a jump, Greg, as far as his play?
Well, I think a couple things. Number one, he's an exceptional athlete. I mean, physically very, very gifted. Tremendous hand-eye coordination. I think if we moved Marshawn over to the other side of the ball, he'd be one of the best receivers on the team. That's the kind of athlete he is. But what he's been able to do, I think, you mentioned it, he had injuries his first 2 years. He's been able to learn how to manage his body and take care of his body like a pro, and that's allowed him to go out and play consistently week after week after week, which allows him to make those plays.
I hear the medical staff's doing something like new age with him, with his hamstrings. Can you talk more about that, about what they've done with him?
You know, they really, you know, Coach Mick and the whole staff are on the cutting edge with everything we do. Without a doubt, the best that I've ever been around, and I think the best in America. So whatever it takes to be able to get that player to perform at a high level, that's what our performance specialists do. And there's a lot of different things that they've done with testing and strength training, as well as just the gear that he wears. You know, so I think no stone is unturned when it comes to their performance.
Coach, when you look at, let's start over. You've been in this business a long time. When you look at Deshaun, where does he rank among some of the quarterbacks you may have seen throughout your career?
Well, he's one of the elite ones that I've faced for a lot of reasons. One, he makes you play 11 on 11 football, right? He can run the football. Number 2, he's got tremendous arm strength. So from any spot on the field, whether he's in the pocket or he's moving by, you know, design movement passes, or the play breaks down and he just, you know, uses athleticism to get out, he can hit the ball, you know, he can throw the ball 50, 60 yards down the field. That's what makes you really have to be honest with every part of your coverage. If for 1 minute you stop doing what you're supposed to do, he's going to find that. He's that kind of player. And I mentioned it earlier in our preparation. He understands not only the plays they run, but he understands the game. You can see that, and great quarterbacks do. I think JT understands the game. So little things that he does that an inexperienced quarterback or a quarterback who doesn't understand the bigger game within the game, simple as I'm going to hand the ball off when we're up by 30, even though my read tells me to keep it, because we'll gain 3 or 4 yards anyway and I won't get hit. Whereas game on the line or in the red zone, I'm keeping the ball, I'm putting it in the end zone. I'm going to make the play because I'm the best player. That may sound really simple, but that's hard to get guys to do for a lot of reasons. One, selfishness, they want plays. You can see that he's a mature quarterback as well as being, one of the more gifted ones that I've seen.
Now the receiving core, big receivers, Kane, of course Williams, Hunter Renfrow, and so on and so forth. They're averaging like 360 yards per game. I mean, that's a lot for a passing game. How do you try to, slow that down a little bit and not let them get to where, they're feeling comfortable out there and they're just airing the ball out?
I think anytime you play good pass defense, it's a combination of pass rush and pass coverage. So we have to do a really good job of rushing the passer, an organized job of rushing the passer, because he has athleticism that he can. And I'm not talking about these mad scrambles sideline to side. I'm just saying step up in the pocket, move out. Step back in the pocket, move back. He does that really well. Quarterbacks that are really effective in doing that, they keep their eyes down the field. You very rarely ever see him look at the rush. Whereas quarterbacks that aren't very good, they're gonna take their eyes off the coverage and look at the rush to avoid it. He feels the rush and is able to keep his eyes downfield, and by doing that, he's very dangerous because when he moves up and out, he can hit you down the field. So we really have to have a pass rush, pass coverage combination that meshes the entire night, because it doesn't take many plays for, one of the things that they do is they run an inordinate amount of deep shots. And when you have the talented receivers they do, you throw 5 of them, you connect on one of them, it's 7 points. So that's one of the things we really have to be alert to and aware of. But again, we know it, so did a lot of the people that played them knew it, and they still hit them, so it's a challenge.
Would you feel like it's more a challenge for your defensive front with regards to their offensive line and just trying to get more pressure on them and try to fake some different things and scheme some different things?
Well, I don't know. When I talked about earlier, he's a very knowledgeable quarterback in their system. So I don't know how much you're going to fool him as far as, showing this, doing this. What we need to make sure is that we're sound in what we're doing every snap. So we're not running past him in the pass rush, blindly. We've got to make sure that we try to keep him contained in the pocket, that we play pass coverage the way we're supposed to. It takes one guy who stops getting depth when he's supposed to be getting depth, and you have a problem, because he's going to find that, and he has the arm strength to expose you.
It's been announced that Bill Davis is going to join your defensive staff. Your thoughts on Coach Davis joining the staff?
Excited about it. Bill was with us this fall as an analyst, and really enjoyed getting to know him better. I knew him from the NFL. We had, crossed paths a little bit, but really fine coach, and excited that he's joining us.
Speaking of excited, I know a lot of Ohio State fans are excited that you're going to be back for another year, it looks like. I know you're going to be a head coach sooner rather than later, but can you talk about next year coming back to Ohio State probably?
Well, I'm excited about it. Right now, we still have a lot of work to do. So,
Right.
But I am. You look at some of our young kids. One of the things you get to do in bowl preparation is in phase 1, you get to work with a lot of the younger kids in our defense, and not running the scout team or something. They're doing our defense, and when you get into the season, it's get ready for the next opponent, get ready for the next opponent, and to be able to see some of these young guys, you get excited. Like, I can't wait to work with this guy this winter. I can't wait for Mick to get him and train him and see what he looks like 4 months from now. So that will be exciting, but we have a lot of work to do before that.
What do you think Luke's equipped to be a head coach? Is there something you passed along to him, or he to you, as you go in a career, in any career, you pick up things from different people? What's impressed you about him?
Well, first off, I think he's a tremendous football coach and a tremendous leader. So I think number one job of a head coach is to be a leader, and he'll do that. He'll lead that program. I'm glad that we get him for a couple more games, but I've enjoyed working with him, and he will be an excellent head coach. Cincinnati got a real fine coach, and a guy that I think the one thing that impresses me most is he knows exactly what he wants his program to be. And I think that's probably the biggest error that most
Yep.
first-time head coaches or young head coaches make is, they're not exactly sure what that